there is a system within us that reacts with our hormones, and it contaminates our cognitive reflexes, the way we think, especially the way we take our decisions. There is this alert system within us, and it acts through the epinephrine, the norepinephrine and the adrenaline, the hormonal system within us, and it makes the stress hormone rapidly release, and the chemical reactions that releases, these chemicals heighten the sense of anxiety, heighten the stresses of mind in a way that we are compelled to think and anticipate the things and experiences that are yet to happen, that we have yet not encountered. These are a way of reliving our past experiences. The memory, the information that has stored the past experiences, what it does is, this alert system, it reinterprets, it reforms in a way, it rescripts it and presents before our conscious mind, and the cognitive reflexes act accordingly. This entire process has to do with the anticipation of fear within us. The alert system is there for our protection, but because it reacts, this process while happening makes our cognitive reflexes, channelizes our hormones in a way that it produces more and more stress hormone. The cortisol begins to release rapidly. Here our anxiety, our emotions, our fear symptoms, this process gradually declines our confidence levels and our decision making abilities, our promptness, the prompt decision making abilities, the impromptu speech that you're anytime and any moment ready to speak. But gradual continuous repetition of this process, it reduces our thinking ability and decision making ability in the troubleshooting areas, especially whenever there is a situation we have to encounter. We anticipate the fear that we have not yet experienced from the past experiences, relive the past moment, and we end up taking the wrong decisions. The right idea, which the skill of making the right decision making skills that is within us, we do not reinterpret that, we do not retrieve that information. This process has a very negative and adverse impact on our cognitive reflexes and cognitive abilities, because it gradually goes on repeating itself, and the gradual repetition of this process, in spite of having the confidence, in spite of having the knowledge, the right kind of information within us, we are not able to retrieve those information and address the troubleshooting areas, because what the mind does, it retrieves the negative information, the information that has to do with our past or evil, ugly, bad experiences. That is what the alert system does on when it reacts with the hormones in a wrong way. And what are those hormones? Adrenaline and epinephrine. What it does, it rapidly enhances the release of the cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and it gets rapidly released, and with the releasing of these chemicals, what it does, it continuously heightens our anticipation, the fear of facing or encountering a situation which has yet not arrived. This is a kind of imagination, this is a kind of hallucination, this is a kind of thinking or scripting your future of which we are not aware. Scripting your future. Future is unknown, but the fear of the unknown gets into action, and the alert system gets into action. Why does it happen? Because we are not able to interpret the quantum world, the quantum spiritual science, and more so, we are not ready to apply it in our day-to-day life. Why does it happen? We are unable to apply it in our day-to-day life because since generations we have been consumed. From generations we are used to leading a particular life that has been conditioned, life connected to survival, life connected to our day-to-day activities, and completely consumed in the material world. We are getting detached from the spiritual science and the spiritual world. So suddenly when you encounter a situation and you want to retrieve information, your mind doesn't retrieve any kind of information because we are not used to the spiritual world and the spiritual experiences and the spiritual knowledge. When we gather research work, when we gather the information, the right kind of information, the spiritual science and the quantum science and the holy verses, when all sort of spiritual information are within us, then it becomes easy for the mind to retrieve those information at the time of stress. We have to understand this fact that for our mind, in order to retrieve the right kind of information, we have to enable our mind to do that. And in order to enable the mind to do that, we have to fill in with the right sort of researches, right sort of information. Only then, at the time of need, at the time of any troubleshooting idea, the right kind of experience, the mind will be able to retrieve those information. Enable our minds, we have to feed in the right kind of informations, we have to feed in the positive information, we have to feed in the informations that are constructive in nature, that are productive in nature, and that will slowly dilute the past experiences connected with failure and negativity. And in response, our cognitive reflexes will be more active, and our cognitive reflexes will be more enhanced, they will be upgraded, and they will retrieve the right kind of information as and when required, whenever we are facing any troubleshooting situation, any situation, any unforeseen situation. We will be high in our confidence and thereby take the right kind of decisions, and our hormones will stay balanced. We will not fall into the trap of our hormones. The sudden stress hormone release will not come into action, because our adrenaline and epinephrine will be moderated, will be in direct control, because we will be in direct control of the way our mind will respond, the way our mind will focus on the right kind of information. And once you have given your mind the access to right information, then nobody will be able to manipulate you, nothing can contaminate your aura, no negative energy will be able to attack you, because your mind is now empowered with the right kind of information, and retrieval of those information will depend on how much spiritual activities you are engaging yourself into, or you are completely detached with the spiritual science and the quantum world. If you are completely detached with the quantum world and the spiritual science, then somewhere you will be consumed by the material world, but there will be a balance between the material world and the spiritual world. If we are into the spiritual activity such as meditation, reading of the spiritual books, reading of the textbooks, reading of the spiritual textbooks, the ancient science, and more of the quantum world and the quantum science, no negative energy will be able to contaminate your mind, because every time it tries to enter your mind, your subconscious will block it. Your conscious mind may feel that it is getting some sort of information, you're feeding in, you're getting indulged in some sort of gossips or some sort of backbiting or some sort of bad news you have watched in television, or some sort of angry thing you have encountered. But no, your subconscious will not get affected. Your subconscious will put a barrier through which that negative energy, that negative information will not be able to reach your subconscious. It will stay limited to the conscious and get diluted gradually. So get yourself into the spirituality, get yourself into the spiritual science, and gather in more and more information, because information, the right kind of information, is the only source through which we can kill the dependencies. And once those dependencies get killed, we will not be a slave to our mind, will not be a slave to any human being, will not be a slave to any habit, we will not be a slave to any situation. And in order to get rid of slavery, we have to make our mind independent. So kill the dependencies. No dependency, what the slavery bred. 41 days of life-changing course, life-changing experience. Kill the dependencies, because it is only the dependencies that bring you down, it is only the dependencies that pull you down, that make you feel helpless. The sense of helplessness, we have to get rid of it. And how can we get rid of it? Only when we know the purpose of our life, only when we detach ourselves from the sorrows and the past evil negative experiences. Live the material world, but do not get consumed in the material world. Enjoy the material world, yet not become the slave of the material world, is all about being independent, and kill the dependencies. We will not be a slave, we will not be dependent. An independent, empowered mind, and we will live a life blissful, successful, and happy.